Ms. Ng Ling Ling.
Mr. Speaker, sir, this is our third year into the COVID-19 pandemic. As Singaporeans adjust to the new norms and with borders opening up progressively, our economy has also gradually improved and the outlook is optimistic. Although I'm heartened to hear that the MTI's projection of a 3 to 5% growth in Singapore economy in 2022, I continue to be mindful of the uncertainties in the trajectory of the COVID-19 pandemic and the potential downside risk it has on our economy and our people, especially with also now the war in Ukraine. Last year, I rose to speak about safeguarding and improving the welfare of three vulnerable segments of our population: persons with disabilities, women who are caregivers, and seniors living alone with their spouse only. Given the 2022 budget focus on charting a new way forward together, I intend to highlight three areas where I fear there are long-term implications to pay more attention to as our nation moves forward to living with COVID-19. These three areas are: 1. Social mobility amidst COVID-19, economic restructuring and digitalization; 2. Managing long-term healthcare needs; and 3. Fulfilling the housing aspiration of our younger generation. First, I would like to raise the issue of social mobility amidst economic restructuring and digitalization. COVID-19 has exacerbated the need for economic transformation and digitalization. We know that this is important as we strive to thrive in a volatile, unpredictable, and fast-changing world. Yet this may also bear a considerable impact on the vulnerable groups, including the lower-wage workers, middle-aged workers, persons with disabilities, and their families. While Singapore's overall unemployment rate saw a decline from 3% in 2020 to 2.6% in 2021, we know that the recovery in the labour market remains uneven, especially for those that are more impacted by the COVID pandemic. Families with members in these sectors will likely have experienced greater loss of income or job insecurity, and the children may face a host of obstacles in their social mobility. A study in the UK assessing the social mobility implications of COVID-19 has shown that a fall in earnings can reduce the options available to displaced workers as they have less resources to finance reskilling and to lean on while they search for re-employment. For their children and young who are still in education, a fall in parental income or job loss have been shown to reduce attainment in school and through this have long-run impacts on their future earnings. I'm thus really glad to hear from the Finance Minister budget speech that we will continue to invest and upskill our workers and encourage companies to do so through the skills development initiatives, increase in support for continued training, and skill future career transition programs. These will certainly go to helping our people remain employed and to transit into new growing industries and digital economy. Programs such as the Fresh Start Housing Scheme, Kids Start, Uplift Community Pilot, and Skilling Up the Comlink are also helpful in ensuring that our children in the disadvantaged and low-income families have opportunities to improve their lives. However, I know that many of these schemes will take years before they can reap their full benefits. I would thus like to ask, how will the government monitor and ensure that the families that these schemes are targeted to help are making the transitions in these few years of rapid and intense changes? I also observed that families, for example, with parents who are trying to upskill, finding new employment, and managing their transition into new jobs while raising young children, all at the same time will be struggling and juggling with multiple demands. I'd like to ask, how would the government help to streamline all these programs and help the family in a more wrap-around, holistic manner for them to navigate between social and manpower schemes that are targeted to help them? The second topic that's close to my heart is the issue of managing the long-term healthcare needs of our aging population. The COVID-19 pandemic showed us the importance of building a resilient healthcare system. Singaporeans, healthcare, and frontline workers have rallied together, and through the cooperation and efforts of everyone, we have avoided overwhelming our hospitals. I take this opportunity to salute all our hardworking healthcare workers and frontline workers. We need to continue to strengthen our healthcare systems, build capabilities to ensure that our frontline workers would remain adaptable in responding to future crises. Besides being able to be prepared for future pandemics, a resilient healthcare system should also meet new challenges and changing healthcare needs. The 2020 population census report showed that the residents aged 65 and above has increased from 9% to 15.2% over the last 10 years. At the same time, the National Population Health Survey 2020 highlighted that diabetes prevalence increased with age, where more than 20% of our adults aged 60 and above are diabetic. Despite Singapore's efforts to tackle diabetes, the crude prevalence of diabetes showed an increasing trend from 8.6% in 2010 to 9.5% in 2019 to 2022. Although the crude prevalence was partly attributable to population aging, it is nonetheless important to know that more than 1 in every 5 older adults aged 60 to 75 are diabetic. Furthermore, the numbers of patients with hypertension does not fare well either, with an increase of the overall crude prevalence of 24.2% in 2017 to 35.5% in 2019 to 2020. Similarly, the age-standardized prevalence also showed an increasing trend from 21.9% in 2017 to 31.7% in 2019 to 2020. This data show that we must do much more to manage chronic diseases in an aging population. In my Committee of Supply Cards for Health, I will elaborate on my suggestions on activating more primary care GP clinics, as well as use of technologies to help our population manage chronic diseases. And I look forward to hearing from Ministry of Health the overall plan for managing population health. Lastly, I would like to speak about helping to fulfill the housing aspirations of our younger adults and the challenges that they are facing in building a home and a family. COVID-19 has accentuated the challenges of home ownership amidst the supply crunch in the construction sector and the rising costs of utilities due to increase in energy prices. Many young couples in my constituency has written to me or approached me at MPS about their difficulties in successfully balloting for a BTO flat, although they want to settle down and have a family. In Singapore, a study conducted by Asian Development Bank has shown that the idea of no flat, no child is prevalent among our young generation. Thus, it is really important for us to engage the Singaporeans more, especially during these few years where the housing remains an issue for many of the young couples who want to settle down. This, in face of a continued declining fertility rate, is an important issue that I feel should be addressed. There are 2 suggestions that I would like to suggest for better meeting the housing aspiration for young Singaporeans. Firstly, I would like to suggest for the MND to consider extending greater interim subsidies or housing loans to young couples who are trying to get a resale flat if they have immediate housing needs and cannot wait for the longer waiting time for BTO flats. Secondly, I would like to also suggest for MND to consider reviewing some of the criteria of the current schemes to give more flexibility for these young couples to have to be able to find their flat within if they don't meet all the criteria immediately. Mr. Speaker, as the economy gradually recovers from COVID-19 pandemic, and we are moving towards the goal of an endemic Singapore where Singaporeans coexist with the virus, it is timely that this year's budget focuses on how we can chart our new way forward as a nation. As we strengthen our resilience from the shadows of COVID-19, my hope is that the Singapore dream, where opportunities and care continue to be available to all, and aspirations of all Singaporeans can become real, will remain alive in the many years to come. And on that note, I support Budget 2022. Thank you.